Hi everyone, how have your weeks been? It's been a busy week in Shez Bailey with just me womaning the fort this week whilst recording, sending out proposals and getting set for South by Southwest Edu. Did you know there's a special discount for the Edtech podcast listeners? Excellent! You can cash in the $50 discount code, which is in the show notes at southbysouthwestedu.com. I'm staying with a family friend in Austin who has requested not tea from an incoming British visit, but homemade jam. So if I don't return from customs, you know why. What else this week? Well, this week's podcast is sponsored by Circle with Disney and the Edtech podcast Old Faves Full Fabric. Circle with Disney got in touch via Twitter thinking I was based in the US, but although they're yet to come to the UK, they are still saying hi to all of you lovely listeners because our second biggest audience are in the US. But wherever you are, hello. So, what is Circle? Well, I think everyone listening has probably cried to Bambi or Dumbo, so you know what Disney is. Circle with Disney is a little device designed for families to help manage content and time spent online across devices in the home. It pairs to Wi-Fi routers and 4G or Wi-Fi networks of tablets, PCs, smartphones and all devices it's connected with, and allows parents to filter content, set time limits and bedtime across platforms like YouTube, Minecraft, Facebook, Netflix and Snapchat. Which reminds me of when my mum tragically pulled the plug from our Amstrad PC on a hot summer's day just before we could crush the boss man on Kung Fu Master. I didn't thank her then, but I definitely do now. The best thing is the kind folks at Circle have sorted out special free shipping and a $10 off discount for you listeners if you go to meetcircle.com and enter the code EDTECH. The code will be live till the 31st of March. Thank you, Circle. Next up, our friends at Full Fabric with a message to all the higher education listeners out there. If you work in university admissions and you're considering ways to streamline your marketing and onboarding processes, check them out. Full Fabric is developed by a team who worked within a university and were frustrated by the experience of supporting students effectively. They realised any software solution developed needed to be fully customisable to help universities recruit, market to and admit students in one place. All data is hosted on the cloud, meaning it can be accessed anytime, anywhere, and on a range of devices. If that sounds of interest to you, you can request a free consultation about your university's admissions process by visiting learn.fullfabric.com/podcast. Thank you to all of this week's sponsors, and if you would like to inquire about future sponsorship opportunities, please email the edtechpodcast@gmail.com. Now, on to this first of a 3-part episode on EdTech trends recorded at Bett 2017. You'll hear from a variety of people, including speakers, attendees and exhibiting companies from across the edu and edutech world. There'll be an ICT coordinator of a school district in Sweden responsible for 8,000 students, an IT advisor from the UAE Ministry of Education, and the co-founder of one of the most recognised EdTech success stories in the UK, among the many voices, including the Global Teacher Prize winner of 2016, Hanan Al-Haroub, with a strong message on ditching administrative strain on teachers. What I picked up from this year's Bett, and you can see the blog post in the show notes, was number 1, times are tough financially. Number 2, international from the off. Given the UK squeeze on budgets, UK edtech companies are now launching with international expansion in mind from day one. Number 3, student-teacher ratio. The Oxford model of one-to-one student and teacher relationships is under immense pressure, which is good news for online tutoring companies like the Bett award-winning Tute. Number 4, where are the chatbots? Given the above pressure on student-teacher ratios, I was surprised to not see more chatbots at Bett 2017. I'll be interviewing a Nordic chatbot out at South by Southwest Edu, and I will report back on what tantalising conversation we have. Number 5, VR. Can we go beyond leaping dolphins into simulated science labs? My question is around how applicable this still is within a school environment. Number 6, digital skills, attitudes and values. This year's STEAM Village had expanded considerably, but the discussion around coding has become more sophisticated. If AI is to automate basic maths functionality, won't coding go that way too? Number 7, AI was a hot topic at Bett 2017. Nothing gets to the heart of the matter like the potential to lose your job or become irrelevant to society. Number 8, efficacy beyond measuring standards. How can we start measuring all those skills, values and attitudes which might evade AI and sit outside of some of the comparative tables out there? Something I know the University of Cambridge have just started a big project on. Number 9, if you haven't already, you should also check out episode 52 and 53, the live podcast on Steam and the Rated Explicit interview with angel Edtech investor Richard Taylor, both also recorded at Bett and excellent listening material for very different reasons. Number 10, okay, with all of that as a backdrop, let's get started. Okay, so this is really an honour for me. So I'm here with Hanan Al-Haroub and also with the lovely Sam, her translator. And we are at Bett, so the first day of Bett, and I'm here to really find out a little bit from Hanan about what you're speaking about today and what you're excited to communicate to the leaders here from all around the world.
I'm here to speak as for the International Teacher Day for 2016 and what leadership means for such a teacher. I will speak about leadership inside the class as a leader, as a teacher leader.
And could you tell us a little bit about your own story as well and how you got to become the Global Teacher Prize winner? So I read a little bit about the experiences of your children and how that took you on a journey.
Of course, my story is not an easy one. It was a bumpy road. And the situation we have is extremely dire, especially as teachers, and we are forced to find solutions for all the problems we're facing. All our students have got unorthodox behavior sometimes, and they are not even ready for classroom teaching. Therefore, it's a process of providing knowledge, and teaching is not an easy process in this sense unless we have provided alternatives and solutions. And I have found a few of these solutions. One of those is to inspire hope inside those students' heart and give them confidence despite all the harsh circumstances. And I could change the suffering into a motivation for them for the better, so that they can change and concentrate on all positive aspects and have a better and look at the half full glass. Learning is such a strong motivation to change the situation that they live in.
And what's the purpose of education for you? So everyone has their different philosophy of education.
To me, if you ask me, education is about how teacher gives way, teaches way of living. And how he teaches student or she teaches student how to face those difficulties and learn skills so that they can overcome the difficulties and live their lives in a successful way.
And the podcast that I run, so that's the Edtech podcast, so we also look at if there's a role of technology in that kind of education practice. Has that ever played a part, or what's your perspective on technology in schools or for learning?
Certainly, technology has been a crucial part that has been providing us more time and making it much easier for us to teach inside the classroom. Technology for me is the crux of my methodology. In a way that if I wanted to provide information, I would even, for example, give them videos and some visual aid so that they know about this place I'm talking about. Since my pedagogy includes also some electronic games that make it also a way of teaching. I even give them the syllabus in an electronic manner so that it facilitates their teaching and learning. So that the learning process become more enjoyable and a nice experience.
I wasn't aware of that. So do the students use their own devices?
No, we don't have the financial ability so that we can provide every student. But we have just one machine on which we have a projector connected to a computer that all students can look and make use of.
And connected to the internet as well. One question I asked all the other Global Teacher Prize nominees in the top 10 was around this idea of what do you think, in terms of leaders here, they can do to help ensure the success of teachers like yourself?
بوجهة نظري my own view, I think it's the freedom
الحرية للمعلمين داخل الصفوف
for teachers inside, the liberty for them.
إعطائنا أو تحريرنا من القيود والأنظمة والقوانين
to break all the clashes or everything that is stopping us from being teachers and using all the methodologies that we're looking for.
القوانين والأنظمة التي تطبق في المدارس.
The rules and regulations by education directories are a hurdle towards our creativity and using our own methodology.
ولا تعطينا أيضا الوقت الكافي لن نقدم آراءنا وأفكارنا.
They don't even provide us with sufficient time so that we can contribute with our own methodology and way of teaching and ideas.
أعتقد أنهم بحاجة ليثقوا بنا أكثر.
I think that teachers should be allowed more confidence and liberty inside the classroom.
That's really interesting, because I was at an event yesterday and they were looking at, so in China they have larger class sizes, but the teachers get a longer amount of time for their own personal development. So I think they only teach half the time, and then the rest of the time they have time for planning or time for personal development.
هذا هو اللي بحكي عنه.
This is what I was exactly talking about.
الوقت الكبير
The time, sufficient time should be allowed. There's a large amount of time that is just wasted by administrative work.
المفروض هذا الوقت يكون
This time should be compensated for creativity and discover all these hidden talents in students and concentrate on them.
And do you enjoy travelling to places like this? And what do you have coming up in 2017?
وشو خطط السنة 2017؟
السنة الماضية كانت لأحكي عن كفائز بجائزة المعلم العالمي.
I was the winner of the International Teacher provided by Varkey Foundation.
وفوزي كان أعاد الثقة للمعلمين في
جميع
العالم.
Winning gave me more confidence and also to all the teachers around the world.
وجعل من
so that
التربويين العالميين
it makes those people in education concentrate even more on teachers
بدور المعلمين الهام
and concentrate on their role in societies.
التركيز رح يكون السنة القادمة.
Concentration next year will be, or especially this year, is to proceed within my methodology so that I can inspire teachers as well as students. With my vision that teachers are the real forces that can make or affect a change.
And how can people connect with you, or if they want to partner with you in this vision, how can they go about doing that?
أنا بديت بتأسيس مؤسسة.
I started a foundation called Hanan Haroubi for creative teaching, which aims to concentrate on creativity for teachers and teacher training as well. But last year, due to being extremely busy, I couldn't concentrate so much. So this year, my whole effort will be concentrated on it. My email as well. You can concentrate or communicate with me through Twitter, email, or any other social media. I also always try to communicate with all teachers around the world.
Well, Hanan, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm really delighted that you're here today.
شكرا. Thank you. Me too.
So, hello.
Hi.
So I'm here with John Tiss, who is the co-founder of Show My Homework. At Bett, the big announcements around Satchel. Could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, so we're created by a former assistant head. So when he first started and he was in education, the VLE was the big buzzword. Yeah. This one central place with lots of different things that are all valuable for schools. But never really got used because it was one big box with all these different wonderful things, but you had to have it all. So we created Show My Homework, we found our little niche, homeschool communication, but then our schools are coming back to us saying, well, it'd be great if we could tie it in with this and with that. So with the kudos, issuing praise when students are giving good pieces of work back in for marking, detentions when they're not obviously giving work back in. And so we're kind of reimagining the virtual learning that learning platform, but allowing teachers and schools to have that flexibility to pick and choose what they actually want, but providing them with the same service that, you know, was working for them with Show My Homework, the dedication, the support 6 days a week, you know, ensuring that students, parents and teachers are always supported without trying to overwhelm them and say, here's this big box of stuff, you have to use everything.
So they can pick modules of what they want?
We call them apps rather than modules. Okay. And so it's a customisation for the school based on what the school's needs are.
Okay.
But again, so it's sort of, we've gone full circle. So from having the VLE to then having sort of individual sort of providers to now sort of bringing it back under one roof, but allowing that school to have the flexibility of what they want.
And will the Show My Homework brand still continue as a sub-brand? Or
it will. It's just, as you can see, we're powered by Satchel. So Satchel will be the overarching sort of brand. Okay. But Show My Homework, the values, the ethos, the people behind it, we're just going to be in all these other different spheres in education, providing that same level of support, that same level of service.
Apps? What are the other services?
So the other apps that we've got is our content provider, which is an exclusive partnership with Collins.
Okay, interesting.
So, you know, Collins has been in education for the last sort of 180 years. So it's really good for us to be associated with a brand like that. It's providing their content and their textbooks for Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4, Maths, English, Science, being able to directly link that with their homework resources. You know, the textbooks go at sort of £8 a book. If it gets damaged, if it gets lost, it needs to be replaced. This is all online content at a fraction of the price, already linked with Show My Homework. Following on from that, as I said, it's the Kudos app. So students, if they're providing a really good piece of homework, being able to give points and rewards for that.
So it's kind of like a badge system type thing? Kind
of a badge system, so then it expands beyond that. So, you know, coming to lesson with the right uniform, answering questions in an appropriate manner, giving them points for that, but also being able to take off points if there isn't a behaviour that the school wants to see. Being able to provide detention lists, saying why students are getting in trouble for, being able to communicate that back to the home as well.
And do you get a sense of, or have you launched for long enough where you can see what kind of percentage uptake of all the other services your existing customers and schools will go for?
Yeah, so it's been really interesting. We've gone really soft because the last thing we want to do is launch to 1,500 secondary schools a product that isn't ready for market. So we've sort of dipped our toe in the water, tested it with some beta users. We're constantly, like as always, we Show My Homework. If you talk to schools that came on board in the first year, the product now is unrecognisable, and it's based on the feedback. Namish regularly goes out to schools. I still go out to schools, so we really want to be part of the education landscape because the classroom changes from week to week, and if you take your finger off the pulse, you're already outdated. And so it's really talking to our schools, listening to our schools, and working with them, and that's what we're in the business for. It's creating that long-term partnership.
And how many people do you have on your whole team, like your support team?
So as a company, we're sort of 70 plus at the moment. All great people. I love coming to work, and it's the people that really drive me. They're all they share the same vision. They're passionate about education. They're passionate about raising standards, and they're there to help. They just want to help. They're just naturally people that want to do good in the world. And that's a real buzz, working with people like that, like-minded people that are up for the challenge, up for the fight. Because when we were here 5 years ago, we were off in one of these little alleyways. They called it Future Tech, but it was really the outcasts. It was the people that people didn't really
know what to do with.
Yeah, so here you go. You sit there in the corner, and to grow from there and to have these guys here where I don't necessarily need to be here. This will just take place.
And how did you and Namish launch this? What's the story behind that? I've spoken to Namish before, but I've never met you before. So.
Yeah, so Namish is really the face of Show My Homework. He had the assistant
You're the
head.
shy mastermind behind it all.
Yeah, I think so. So me and Namish have been friends from school days.
Wow. That's so cool.
And so he got fed up with technology and how companies treated schools. You were really a number, and it was really the revenue that their school wanted. Whether you used the product or not didn't really matter. E-learning credits were the big buzzword, and there was schools just throwing money at stuff. Whether it worked in schools, whether it didn't make a difference. No one really cared, and so Namish was forced to kind of adopt these systems, adopt these tools, and then be the one that had to cascade it down to colleagues. And so he was the bringer of bad news for his colleagues. They thought, here's another system, you're trying to get us to do it, we all hate it, it doesn't work, but you're the bad guy. And so he wanted to make a difference, said he needed some support. I was a good friend. I've been in sales, not in educational sales, but in stocks and shares.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So kind of sold my soul to the devil.
Now you're.
I'm making up for it now.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
And so he said, look, I've got an idea. I want to make a change in education. Come along for the journey. We're both still relatively young. We don't have too much commitments. And so that was where we started. It was me and him, one developer, in a room with no natural light. He was still in school, so the day would sort of finish for the dev team at 6 o'clock, then Namish would get into the office, and then it would sort of carry on for me and him.
And so how many years ago was that now?
That was sort of 6 years ago now.
Wow, that's so quick.
Seems like a lifetime ago, but...
And do you do anything with School 21? Because I know you guys are out in Stratford. So.
We are, yeah, so we're sort of partnering up on a mentor sort of scheme, because they are very start-up.
Yeah.
So we actually had some of them in the office just before Christmas.
Cool. Yeah, I need to. That's on my to-do list to go and interview those guys.
Yeah, we've had a lot of support from other companies that have been in the education space, before us, and they've given us a lot of advice, and so we're always happy to give other companies, as long as they're not trying to take our business or take our schools, but give them advice on the pitfalls that we've been through. So they don't make the same mistakes as us, because this has all been a whole learning experience.
And I mean, on that front, so we're at Edtech, we're even at Bett 2017. Have you had a chance or a sense of, even if you look at the exhibitor makeup, like where things are going or trends, or from your conversations? You
still built up by the old boys club, so the more traditional companies are still the bigger stands, but we're sort of encroaching in that space, and we are seeing a lot more sort of edtech startups emerging. Hardware seems to be always, every year, the big focus, but then my message to schools is look at what have you spent on hardware and what actually gets used, because you see nice white tablets, not going to name brands, but they're sat in server stacks gathering dust.
Yes.
Teachers don't get the training, they don't get the support, they get companies saying this is the best bit of equipment, but if teachers don't get that support and that training to use it in the classroom, they are just going to sit.
And who do you use for your CPD? So do you?
It's all internal.
Internal.
We've got a great team that that sort of run Bett for us. They lead on Bett for us. They lead on our events. We want guys that don't go to places with their hands in their pocket and look like they're bored out of their minds. We want people that are happy and excited to be here to work for us.
There's an amazing waft of popcorn.
That also helps.
I know how you do it. Yeah. Awesome. Well, and are you on Twitter, or how can people connect with you if they want to follow up?
LinkedIn, No, I'm not on Facebook, but LinkedIn, social media at team_Satchel can get in touch with us.
Okay.
Phone, LinkedIn, smoke signals, however anyone wants to get in touch with us.
Carrier pigeon.
We're available, indeed.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you.
So I'm here with Badria Yusuf, who's an IT advisor at the Ministry of Education for the UAE. So I'd like to find out what innovations that you're focusing on within schools across the UAE.
Yes, actually this year our participation as Ministry of Education, it's one of our strategic initiative, which it is Emirati school is shaping the educational future. Okay. This is a new initiative, was established before 2 years. We are putting all our new strategy regarding to enhance education and develop education to reach the highest global standards. We would like to be, our country to be we can say as our ruler saying, number one in education. We would like our country to be attractive even in education. We would like to reach the 21st century's, what you can say, initiative or what regarding the education. Okay, so these came in our mind. This year, our participation in Bett should be different than previous years. Not to announce about some programs or whatever. No, our initiative this year was to announce about our strategy to enhance education through Emirati schools. All our initiative will be in these schools, to be as a modern school, to be as attractive schools, to be as attractive country, to let the other people from other countries to come to our countries for education, not for other purpose. Okay? And in additional to other things that we have, like to be modern cities like Dubai, to be nice countries at winter and the weathers.
And so as the IT advisor, can you break down the strategy slightly?
Yes, these Emirati school we focus in these Emirati school in technology, we focus in innovation, we focus in creativity, we focus to shape the education future. This was the main task that we put for the Emirati school. We started by announcing this theme. We put this theme on our stand. We have a big part here in our main stand to present the strategy of Emirati school and all the departments in the ministry who's working for this initiative. And we have a lot of departments working for this.
And some of the exhibitors that you brought
in
the region, what kind of things do they cover off?
Yes, of course our initiative for Emirati school wasn't by ourselves only. It was with the partners, our partners, which we feel that we should let them participate with us. Even in the main stand, they are presenting their role with us to reach the vision of the Emirati school. These are scheduled with us and they have their small stand with us. They can announce about all their products for the visitors.
And what are the main areas that you would like to improve in terms of your strategy? So you mentioned creativity and
everything from the building till the student.
And is it about sort of PISA tables, or is it about students having 21st century skills, or
all of these things to reach the global standards?
Right.
Okay. We have another stand, which is we feel that we should put the innovation lab. This is small innovation lab, which will be similar to the innovation lab will be in the Emirati schools, and the smart classrooms, Emirati smart classrooms, and we have live the amendment for one class from our countries to be shown here in the system.
And is the focus on, like many other countries around the world, around STEM? Is it sort of science, technology, engineering, maths, or the arts as well?
They are using some programs with, you can say it is like a learning program. The teacher using this program with the student to show that education you can learn from anywhere, anytime you would like, not from the school only. We are showing the IT. For example, our partners here at Salat, they are announcing about our infrastructure in the school because they are our partners to build the infrastructure for these Emirati schools and the connectivities, high connectivities that will be in these schools and the use of the technology.
So yes, you've got the mobile operator Etisalat.
Etisalat, yes, it is one of the big telecommunication in our countries, and they are worldwide.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, now I'm here, delighted to be connected through Dave Smith to Soren Anderson, and you're the ICT coordinator from a school in Sweden, or
it's a school district in about 200 kilometers north of Stockholm.
Okay.
And we are about 37,000 people in the community, and about 8,000 students.
Okay, and I understand. So you've come to Bett obviously to look at different ideas in education innovation, and you've been to visit down in Havering. So, what exactly is it that you're looking for in terms of solutions or new ideas?
Well, we're looking for example, new ideas to teach the kids, and not so much the hardware, more like how do the Englishmen do it what they do in school. We went to a school clock house. It's very good. It was quite different the way we teach in Sweden, and I really liked it.
And so what was it about it that you liked? What was the difference, do you think?
Well, for first, they didn't focus so much on the hardware. It's more like they use the computers and iPads if it makes something to the learning. If not, they use paper and pens and
okay.
they always, and it's pretty good.
And so, because I'm surprised because my very vague understanding would be, and my guess would be that Sweden is quite advanced in education. So what I was hoping to understand is what are the particular educational needs that you think need serving?
We had one-to-one computers for many years. Part of my school have had it since 1998, and somewhere on the road I saw that maybe we think that if we just have the computer it's going to be okay, everything, but it's not that easy. Mm-hmm. And so we have actually all the technical parts we need, and we have to see if we can learn something from Great Britain. And I saw something at the Clockwork School yesterday that could be another problem for Great Britain, and that's they don't seem to have the all the data structure, IT structure aboard yet, because kind of slow internet, simple logging systems, lots of hand job to manage it, what I can see. So I hope that they can learn something from us, because we are a high-tech country, but it's I think we missed something on the way.
So you feel like perhaps the infrastructure is a bit more solid in Sweden, but you have all these devices, but you need to learn, or you can. There's more to learn around the pedagogy and what to do with them.
Almost every house and apartments in Sweden have high-speed internet. I have 100 megabit in and out from my house, and that's usually what people have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting indeed. And what particular focus is there? Like a government initiative in terms of the types of focus that you have for your students in terms of equipping them either with the skills that the government feel they need to do well in life?
Well, I'm not sure that we have a straight way where we are going, but it's they are working and on a what do you say, on a plan in a way that I think that many of us thought that if we just have everything we need technical, it's going to solve every problem, but it didn't. So I think that the government was kind of surprised that. I mean, if you look at the PISA results, we are not in the top. Mm-hmm. We are, where are we? Somewhere pretty low. So it can't be the computer. So it has to be something else. So yeah.
And so is there like a government, when the PISA results came out, do you think there's now been an impetus? Has there been has that helped people think, okay, we need a plan B?
Yeah, absolutely. We are moving. If you look at the results from this year and last year, it's much better, and especially in mathematics.
Thank you very much, Søren.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, brilliant. So it's day 2 of Bett. We're still all standing, and I'm here with Amanda Jackson, the Inspector of Standards and Effectiveness from Havering Education Services, and also with Dave Smith, who many of you will know from NACE previously, and also Computing and Online Safety Advisor from Havering as well. So welcome, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to be here.
So what brings you to Bett?
Oh, lots of different things. We come for many reasons, actually. We come to meet with some of our partners who we work with, but also to link up with school colleagues who we work with day to day, looking for new ideas, resources that we might want to give advice on for schools and other people that we work with.
And I know that internationally you get quite a lot of international visitors to
do.
find out what you're doing, so it must mean that you're doing something right and something really interesting. From that point of view, I mean, what have you seen in terms of where things are going?
Yes, you're right. We have had lots of international visitors, actually. We had a group from Denmark only about a month ago. And the thing that they were really interested in was the microbits and some of the small technical kits that they could take back to their countries. We've had a little bit of interest in that locally in our schools as well, but lots of schools that we've spoken to about coming to Bett have really been interested in some of the virtual reality headsets, thinking about augmented reality and how they can bring some of that into their classroom.
Yeah. What's your opinion on that? Because I think I have mixed feelings on it.
Yeah, same. We're still, waiting to see some outcomes. We had one of our schools, Crowlands Primary School, it was actually featured on the One Show on BBC One.
Really?
They were doing some virtual reality where they were trying to get children engaged with the topic.
Yeah.
I think it can work really well when you've got really good context, good ideas. It can't ever replace a good trip somewhere, but it can mean that you can get children to see things that they wouldn't ordinarily be able to see.
I think it's quite interesting as well. I mean, talking about student-teacher ratio, and so, for example, Dave and I were talking about this yesterday. You can't always get kids as well, given budgets, into a lab environment. But if you can recreate that, and they're able to sort of have the next best experience.
Well, I'd say some of the augmented reality stuff. When you're looking at parts of the body, you can get into the heart and the lungs and different things. And we had some students that were doing some things with the LGFL Mayan project, where they can see some of the artefacts and the old buildings, which you won't be able to go and visit any of those things, but they can see 360 degrees.
And that scale as well. So all of these artefacts that you can't get out on in a physical form, but if that's your niche, that's your interest area that you can then go and investigate. And as I understand it, so you've launched a project quite recently, so can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we've over the last few years we've worked really closely with the company Rising Stars, who are publishers. So we launched Switched On Computing about 2 or 3 years ago now, and we've continued that partnership, and we've worked on Switched On Minecraft, which has 18 units for Key Stage 1 and 2. So it's not just about teaching Minecraft, it's about cross-curricular resources, using Minecraft to engage pupils in the topic, but it is all cross-curricular, looking at things like geography and history, where Minecraft could be part of the work that they're doing. Lots of links with mathematics as well, because they're obviously building things in a virtual world, but they're looking at scale, they're looking at ratio, size, so some really exciting projects there. The other one that we're working on, which we just launched at Bett actually this week, is Switched On Online Safety, again, which is a primary resource for Key Stage 1 and 2. Really excited about that. We've trialled it in some of our schools, and they've found the units to be really engaging, very different to some of the things that they might have used before. So really excited about that one.
And so can I delve a little bit more into exactly what that project's about? So obviously it's about online safety, but the main modules of it.
Yeah, so it's... What we've tried to do is bring together all areas of online safety in one place, because there's lots of fabulous resources already out there. So we haven't tried to replace those. What we've tried to do is bring some of those things together. So we're looking at all areas of online safety, looking at leadership. So there's some policy documents, looking at what makes good policy, good leadership of online safety, as well as curriculum resources, so lesson plans, medium-term plans for teachers to use. And it's all backed up with things like pupil videos and teacher videos. So there's some things for pupils to do in terms of activities, so they can watch videos and think about consequences and risks, some of the things, make decisions on what they might have done. So the idea is that it's a resource that will help to build all areas of online safety rather than just the curriculum resources, lots of things around leadership. And the key thing really also is engaging parents. One of the big issues we've got with online safety is that we talk a lot about it in school, but parents don't often feel confident to talk to their child about their activities. So there's lots of things all the way through the resource to try and get the school and the families working together, so children have some things that they can take home, work with their families on, different guidelines and activities that they might be doing. So a really all-round fabulous product. We're really pleased with it.
Very interesting. I hope to speak to some of your partners about some of these projects as well. And Dave, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Certainly, Sophie.
So everyone's going to be interested. So you're leaving NACE as well?
I left NACE in the autumn. Absolutely. Well, we had a lot of work on in Havering.
Yeah.
So the substantive role in Havering takes up a lot of our time, making sure that we're providing the curriculum materials for our schools is a very important part of what we do. So NACE has an important part to play in the UK Edtech structure. And the leadership of Mark Chambers and the board there, I hope to continue to lobby government, be involved with partnerships with others. But actually, even since I've left NACE as the chair and stepped down from the board as well, it's been delighted to be involved in other aspects. For example, just before Christmas, that together via BISA. The meeting at the Department for Education and Business and Energy and Industrial Strategy around looking at the possibility, hopefully, of us having digital strategy in schools. And that's something that we desperately need. We need to be driving on that with our schools. So, NACE continues apace, and I know that Mark will tell you if you speak to him this week around the procurement frameworks and all sorts of other things. Yep, we all need to be working together to be lobbying for effective education technology in this country.
Absolutely.
And beyond.
And you continue to host your international colleagues, so we bumped into some Swedish friends yesterday.
Sandviken Commune, who came to see us again this week. It goes back almost 10 years, where we took teachers over with the British Council Teachers International Professional Development trip. We've had many trips abroad and we visited different places. Amanda and I last year were in Qatar doing some training for teachers over there on Switched On. But also not only that, but we, as Amanda mentioned, we've had the visitors from Denmark, who are keen to come again next year as well. So it was really good yesterday because we were working on a 3-country project to look at how we might link on those issues around online safety. So the Danes in particular were interested in coding and did some work with us on that. But this online safety is a common theme across the countries, and working through that partnership is a good way that we can perhaps not only expand the work that we've been doing with our schools, but also grow the practice in other countries and find out what they're doing as well, because it's a very different model in Scandinavia and particularly Sweden, to what we do here with online safety.
So what are those differences? Because I think people would be very interested in those.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it was an interesting thing, and I went there in 2011 for the first time, that the internet was filtered. The whole idea of the students taking responsibility for their use of the technology, their online activity, which is something that we should be aware of, and we have been aware of as well. But it's no filtering. And even when we were talking to the guys this week and mentioning that, so we didn't have the filtering in it, we took the group into one of our schools, and they were talking about the difference. And one of the things that they said was that in the Swedish authority, that all the students have a laptop of their own, and they're able to install their own programs on the devices. And it was quite interesting to see the reaction of the technician in the school and also the deputy head in the children are allowed to install their own. Yes, they are. So yeah, that's one of the differences really. But
has that been successful for them or?
Well, they'd say they would.
Yeah,
it's been successful because
it teaches responsibility.
Yes, so it's a very different philosophy. And if you go to Scandinavia, that isn't particularly Sweden. You do notice that you go onto the playground in the school and there'll be piles of ice and snow outside. The children will be playing ice hockey, sliding down piles of snow, climbing up trees with no teachers on duty. And when you talk to the members of staff in the school, they said, "Why do you need anyone? We sit in the staff room. If there's a problem, they come and knock on the door. So why are you worried?" Yeah. Different philosophy.
It's a fair one, and I can see the argument. I mean, I had my friend speaking on a panel yesterday, and she worked at the tinkering school, and I don't know if you've seen that, but they did a TED talk, and the basic philosophy based out in America is that let's not hide all these basically quite dangerous tools from children. Let's teach them how to use them. So, things like drills and so on, and making things with them, but teaching them responsibility through that.
Absolutely. I mean, away from the Edtech and more towards the DTech, so to speak. If you go into a preschool in Sweden, you'll find they've got workbenches like you would find in a garage.
Yeah.
Okay, and that you would find that they will have tools and full-size drills and saws and things like that. Which where we've over the years had.
Amanda's having a heart attack.
Absolutely, small hacksaws and whatever, and fantastic. But it's a different philosophy and different way of working. But then that does then extend to the Edtech as well. I think they're looking more towards what we're doing, but with a concern that maybe we're doing too much of that, and then controlling things too much for the students, and actually maybe not getting them to take as much responsibility of their own, although we'd argue that we are getting them to take responsibility of their own. But it's an interesting philosophical debate. So hopefully this international work that we'll do with them, small scale, let's see how it goes. We might get some outcomes of that, which will be some learning for everyone.
And are there any other sort of international nuances that you've seen and either taken stuff on or made you provoke some thoughts?
We have a very strong link with Japan as well, in Havering, over many years. Very kindly initially connected via the Elmo company through visualizers for a few years ago. So we've got a delegation coming next week to the authority from the Japan Association for the Promotion of Education Technology. And they're very interested in looking to see what's happening in computing in this country. And Japan is about to change its curriculum in a couple of years' time. They do it every 10 years. So that's what they do. And they've been exploring and they've been visiting us over the last two or 3 years, looking at what we're doing to see how we can do it. And it's like technology and the Japanese, it's like exporting coal to Newcastle, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's a sort of, the sort of idea. So, but what's interesting from that relationship is that they have been very interested in looking at what's happened in terms of the computer science implementation here, seeing what we're doing right, what needs to be improved.
They're replicating the compulsory coding curriculum, is that right? Yeah.
And therefore, as a result of that, they want to make sure they get it right before they implement it. So they're very conservative with a small c in terms of how they go about doing things. But, we have visits backwards and forwards, and this is just another one coming up. And this time they're bringing with them 4 of the major corporations of Japan. You've got Panasonic, NEC, you've got Fuji and Hitachi coming as well to look. So they've got, not only is it the educationalists on the front line, but also the industry supporting as well. So that's a good model, the industry and education working together to find the right pathways of what we need to do. So that it's very encouraging. So looking at the way that they're going about things is a very good thing. So we look forward to them visiting, to come to one of our schools next week, and also to having a chat with us as well.
Exciting. And do those guys get to meet the students as well?
Of course. Of course. In the school they're going into, the digital leaders will be talking to them, telling them what they've been up to.
That's a great experience for them as well.
It's a brilliant experience. Looking outwards, seeing that they've got visitors from overseas coming to it, and going back to this point of Coles to Newcastle. Our teachers getting people coming in from Japan, and it's always been interesting to them, saying, well, actually, I've got a Canon projector and a Hitachi this and a whatever that. So don't they use all that technology in Japan? And it was interesting for me, having been over there a couple of times to visit and talk at conferences in Japan, that from my experience, is that I think we use education technology a lot more in our schools than I've noticed in Japan, which is great for the UK Edtech sector, isn't it, really?
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this week's episode, make sure you come back for number 2 and 3 of the Bett EdTech Trends episodes and leave your feedback via Twitter, Anchor or speakpipe.com/the EdTech podcast. Next week, I'll be in conversation directly with the Japan Association for the Promotion of Educational Technology during one of their school visits in the UK, plus coding company Tinker, primary school students from London, and world-renowned musician and tech enthusiast Imogen Heap, among others. If you're on the lookout for inspiring events coming up, you should also check out the upcoming Innovate My School series across the country, which are free for school leaders if you sign up at innovatemyschool.com/upcoming-events. I'll also be chairing events at EdSpace next week on Thursday and at the London Book Fair in a few weeks. And if you're a company looking to work with creative university students, Loughborough University London are hosting a cool event this Wednesday, which I'm planning to go along to. All details in the show notes. Have a great week, everyone, and keep your comments coming in. Bye-bye.